The nerve, the audacity.
Stop this.
As a member of the Naruto community who loves to debate versus battles, Minato is this guy is overrated. Now hold on, let me specify exactly what I mean when I say he's overrated. If you think that Minato beats Pain, this video isn't really for you. If you think that Minato beats Itachi, I don't think this video is really for you. If you think that Minato was a part of the Akatsuki, he'd be the strongest member, this video still isn't really for you. However, if you think things like Minato stomps Pain with minor difficulty, this video is absolutely for you. If you think that characters like Itachi are not comparable to Minato, and hell, if you think that Minato beats Madara, and yes, there's people who actually think this, then yes, this video is absolutely for you. Now before we continue, if you could like the video and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you disagree with anything, actually let me know in the comments. You know, it's always great to exchange ideas and thoughts on how strong characters actually are. So let's start with Minato versus Madara, because although there are people who think that Minato wins, most of the Naruto community agrees with me that Minato loses pretty handedly. Now, Madara would absolutely destroy Minato with no difficulty, but I've been trying to come up with reasons as to why people think that this is even a close fight. And I've come to the conclusion it's obviously because of Minato's speed, but there is an extreme level of confusion over how speed actually works in the Naruto universe. At the very least, when it comes to talking about Minato. There is a very, very, very big difference between movement speed and reaction speed. Now look, if Minato and Madara had to hypothetically race to the Hidden Sand Village, Minato would not only win, but he would absolutely destroy him. So yes, Minato is quote-unquote faster than Madara, especially in the context of a battle. But this does not mean what some people think it means. Yes, Minato literally moves faster than Madara, but that does not mean that Madara cannot react to him. It's the same reason that although Weightless Lee is technically faster than Neji whooped his ass 1,000 times over. And we see countless examples of stuff like this happening in the series. Another example of this is the 5 Kage Summit. Although Sasuke was not able to fully perceive and definitely not able to move along with the Raikage, when the Raikage was going to attack him, he was perfectly capable of actually activating Amaterasu before the Raikage was able to hit him. Hell, we literally have 4K evidence of Madara reacting to KCM2 Naruto at point blank range. The same KCM2 Naruto that deflected 6-tailed beast bombs so fast that Kakashi and Guy didn't even know what happened. So saying that Minato is too fast for Madara is just, oh my. Madara doesn't even need his Susanoo for Hokage Minato. And I'm not trying to hate on Minato here. I mean, Madara would do this to a lot of characters, including Pain and Itachi. Speaking of those two, the way some people talk about Minato in versus battles versus these two is just egregious. And I'm not trying to say that Minato doesn't have a speed advantage, because he absolutely does. It will be tough for Itachi and Pain to hit Minato. And although I do think that the Pains as well as Itachi can react to Minato, it's not going to be extremely easy. But the idea that Minato can just teleport behind the Pains or behind Itachi and just rip off their heads is just not consistent with narrative implications or even scaling. I mean, we literally see Killer Bee, who was weaker than Pain and Itachi, react to Minato not once, but twice. And then again, it wasn't easy. Killer Bee obviously seems taken back by how fast Minato is, but he still reacts to him. Let's not forget that the Raikage was a sort of rival for Minato during the war. They fought multiple times and neither one of them were capable of killing the other. Now obviously Minato is faster than the Raikage, hell, he even says this himself. But the fact that they had multiple exchanges in a war where they're trying to kill each other and neither one of them were able to kill each other, it must mean that the Raikage is at the very least in the same realm or ballpark of speed with Minato. And of course, this is really good for Itachi and Pain, because they both scale not only to the Raikage, but honestly far above him, along with any of the other 5 Kage. We know that Orochimaru is stronger than any of the 5 Kage, because he kills Hiruzen, who's considered to be the strongest of the 5 Kage. And obviously Orochimaru shits bricks at the thought of Itachi, which means that in terms of general strength and ability, Itachi is probably also well above any of the 5 Kage, which obviously includes the Raikage, who was a common opponent for Minato. As for Pain, Jiraiya, who is a high Kage level ninja, admits that he's weaker than only 3 of the paths, and has to resort to sort of retreating, making a plan, then ambushing the Pains with Ma and Pa's frog song just to beat 3. Obviously, if Jiraiya had fought all 6 from the start, he probably would have gotten destroyed while maybe only killing one of the paths in the process. And this is especially considering the fact that the only thing that did any significant damage to the Pains, which was frog song, would be virtually useless versus all 6. Because, I mean, the Diva path could just, you know, and also, Pain saying that if Jiraiya knew his secret, he wouldn't have won, just doesn't downplay Pain at all. What Pain was referring to was the vulnerability of the one who was controlling the Pains, you know, like him, like Nagato. If Jiraiya knew Nagato was controlling the Pains, he wouldn't have fought the Pains. He would have just ran away. He would have just ran away, found crippled Nagato, and killed him, which would have deactivated the Pains in the process. That's what Pain meant by that statement. But this obviously hardly counts as a win in a hypothetical battle, because that's like beating your brother in a fighting game because you unplugged his controller. I mean, did you really win? Were you really stronger than them? So Itachi and Pain both scale significantly above high Kage level ninja and are absolutely both in the same tier with Minato. So if you think that Minato can beat the Pains or Itachi, that's fine. I'm not gonna fight you. I think that's perfectly reasonable. But stop this nonsense about Minato destroys Pain or Itachi's not comparable to him at all.
Stop this!
That's just not true. Oh, and a quick point. Throughout this video, I'm referring to Hokage Minato, not Edo Minato or any of the other variants. Because, yeah, Edo Minato stomps a lot of these people. Now, some people will probably still disagree and think that Minato just nags both of these guys, especially Pain, because Pain just gets a lot of disrespect. And this is because of a lot of feats that just get interpreted the wrong way. A lot of people like to bring up Minato teleporting between Guy and Madara, but there's a couple of issues with this. One, it's pretty clear that truth-seeking orbs move slower than the actual user themselves. An example of this was EMS Sasuke being able to block a truth-seeking orb from Jubito, but then 10 seconds later he literally gets like blitzed by the same Jubito. The second issue with this is that it's very likely that Guy and Madara had sort of slowed down in that moment. It's pretty common for the speed characters are moving at to fluctuate when they're battling. I mean, Lee was the one who threw the kunai, so if you want to argue that Minato is 8th gate Guy speed, you also have to argue that Lee is as well, which I mean, he obviously isn't. I've heard people argue that Lee had like mental amps, but this would mean that the emotional mental amp would have to be like the strongest buff in the entire series. Because I mean, like Chunin level Naruto pretty much went 4 tails versus Orochimaru, and Orochimaru was still like reacting to him fine. So if you want to use Lee's mental amp as an explanation for him reacting to 10 tails Madara, you'd have to argue that this suspicious mental amp is like, what, 30 times stronger than the 4 tails amp that Naruto got? Because I mean, if like 4 tails Naruto can barely react to Orochimaru, I don't understand how like a mental amped Lee can react to 10 tails Madara. Now who knows? I mean, maybe. Like, it's possible. I think a lot of feats have multiple interpretations, but I think we have to go with the one that's more likely. And I think in this case, it's just more likely that they slowed down in this instance. And also, like I said earlier, the speed of truth-seeking orbs is pretty high in its variability. I mean, like I said, EMS Sasuke was being able to react to it, and then later on he gets blitzed. So another thing people like to do to argue that Minato stomps Pain is talk about Minato saying that Naruto within the 9 tails power to be Obito. But this conversation is gravely misinterpreted. So let's go down the reason. The first reason is that I could literally argue that Pain is stronger than Obito, because the manga literally literally states that Pain is the strongest member of the Akatsuki. The second issue is that here Pain isn't really implicated in this discussion at all, at the very least in the manner that people say he is. Minato was more so explaining as to why he sealed the 9 tails inside of Naruto 16 years ago, so he couldn't have sealed the 9 tails inside of Naruto wanting him to master it to beat Pain, because well, Pain didn't even exist and Minato didn't know who Pain was at the time. And when Minato met Naruto was literally in the middle of a battle with Pain, and the battle was like 95% done. So Minato telling Naruto to master the 9 tails to beat Pain would be kind of silly, because you know, he's already fighting Pain. Maybe it would be different if Minato met Naruto before he fought Pain or Obito, and he told him to master the Nine Tails for Obito and not Pain. But like, Naruto's already in the middle of the fight. Not only is he already in the middle of the fight, but Pain is exhausted at this point. He just used Shibaku Tensei. He fought the entire village. And the Pain that Minato was witnessing was much weaker than Pain at full power because of all these factors. I mean, Pain couldn't even use Tendo's power for like half of the fight. So it's kind of difficult to scale Pain off of Minato's thoughts here because of all these things. So using this conversation as a means to say, well, Minato thinks Naruto needs the Nine Tails to beat Obito and not Pain, therefore Obito is stronger and Minato is stronger than Obito. It just isn't really the best argument. I could also argue that the nature of this conversation is just very coincidental due to the events prior. Because, for example, if the roles were reversed and Pain somehow attacked the village 16 years ago trying to get the Nine Tails, and they say that Minato fought him off, I'm sure that Minato would have sealed the Nine Tails inside of Naruto to beat Pain, especially considering that, you know, he'd be pretty shocked that there's just a random person running around with the Renegon. So if you want to argue that Minato beats Pain, if you want to argue that Minato's stronger than Pain, I think that's perfectly reasonable. I just don't think that this conversation supports that position well, at the very least as well as people think it does. And it certainly does not prove that Minato stomps Pain. Well, maybe like exhausted Pain, but you know, like fully powered Pain. Minato certainly does not stomp him based upon this conversation. And I should have said this earlier, but when I'm referring to Pain, I'm obviously referring to like all six. So yes, Minato is insane. In fact, I think there's a lot of people out there who rate Minato very well, but I felt the need to make this video because there's a sizable amount of people who in fact do overrate Minato. In this video, I used Itachi and Pain as like reference points. You know, I mentioned them a lot, but they are mentioned a lot when it comes to hypothetical battles, so that's why I use them. Now then again, for all these like hypothetical battles that I went over in this video, I didn't actually go over who I would actually think would win, and I'm still not going to because I don't think it's necessary. All I was arguing in this video is that Hokage Minato does not destroy a lot of these characters, and certainly not Madara. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, especially if you actually watched the entire thing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Please don't shit on me in the comment section.